To conclude tonight's investigation into the origins of political correctness, here again is Bill Lind.
As we've seen, the Frankfurt School, Marxist in origin, wanted to create a cultural revolution against Western society. And in the 1930s, they took their important first step. In the 1930s, the work of Horkheimer, Adorno, Fromm, and Marcuse issued in its first tangible product, critical theory. The term critical theory is something of a play on words. One is tempted to ask, what is the theory? The answer is, the theory is to criticize. Through unremitting, destructive criticism of every institution of Western society, they hope to bring that society down. Critical theory is the basis for gay studies, black studies, women's studies, and various other studies departments found on American university campuses today. These departments are the home base of political correctness. David Horowitz was present at the birth of campus political correctness.
Well, I was a radical in the 60s. I was a Marxist, my buddies were people like Tom Hayden. I edited the largest magazine of the left at the time, Ramparts. But the Frankfurt School was important in Marxism because they no longer believed really in the future. They only believed in destroying capitalism and destroying bourgeois democracy is what we would have called it. And if you look at today's campuses, that kind of nihilism is really the dominant theme. That is, attack America.
The Frankfurt School was careful never to define what critical theory was for, only what it was against. Again, Martin Jay, the Frankfurt School's semi-official historian.
Critical theory itself always felt reluctant about being put in the straitjacket of systematization and defied its reduction to a simple definition.
Critical theory actually attempted to politicize logic itself. Horkheimer wrote, "Logic is not independent of content." That means an argument is logical if it helps destroy Western culture, illogical if it supports it. Such twisted thought lies at the heart of the political correctness now inculcated into American university students.
When there's 1% of the campus is conservative, and the other 9%, and the other 9% of the people who care are incredibly liberal, you're going to get something approaching a socialist state.
But how did the work of a small group of German Marxist intellectuals come to America? In 1933, when the Nazis came to power in Germany, the Institute for Social Research fled. It fled to New York City, where it was reestablished that same year with help from the president of Columbia University. Once in America, the Frankfurt School gradually shifted the focus of its work from destroying German society and culture to attacking the society and culture of its new place of refuge. Not only did they apply critical theory to American society, they added some new elements. One was the Institute's so-called Studies in Prejudice, which culminated in 1950 in Theodore Adorno's immensely influential book, The Authoritarian Personality. In it, Adorno argued that the American people possessed many fascist traits, and that anyone who supported traditional American culture was psychologically unbalanced. It is no accident that today, the politically correct are quick to label their opponents fascists and suggest that they need psychological treatment in the form of sensitivity training.
People over profits! People over profits!
The Frankfurt School even integrated political correctness' most fashionable cause, environmentalism, into their cultural Marxism, by way of Horkheimer and Adorno's book, Dialectic of Enlightenment.
Well, they were very interested in what was called the domination of nature. Dialectic of Enlightenment in particular moved the emphasis away from economic domination to the species domination of the natural world, including, we might say, internal nature through psychoanalytic understanding of repression. So they were very keen on recognizing that we needed to have a more nurturant and a more, let's say, balanced relation between humankind and the natural world.
After World War II, Horkheimer and Adorno returned to Germany, where the Institute was reestablished at Frankfurt University. But not all the old members of the Institute returned. Fatefully, Herbert Marcuse remained in America eventually becoming a professor at Brandeis and University of California, San Diego. Marcuse labored to finish the intellectual work begun by Horkheimer, Adorno, and Fromm in the 1930s.
Marcuse, on the other hand, remained in the United States, and during the 50s and 60s developed some of their earlier ideas, merging Freud and Marx, interested in aesthetics and interested in cultural, let's say, tendencies towards what he would call negation, which were usable in a campaign to call into question what Antonio Gramsci would have called hegemony of capitalist bourgeois culture. And Marcuse became, of course, the so-called guru of the New Left.